Oh, shoot. Hello, my dudes, and welcome to my first YouTube video. Today, I'm gonna be doing my homework. Yay! Because of this quarantine, I have lost all my sense of urgency. And that's not a good thing. So I came up with this idea. What if I hold myself accountable for my homework by recording myself? That's a good idea. Well, think again. It wasn't. I only started now. This homework was given to me 2 months ago. What have I been doing? So, today I'm finally gonna get started. The homework I'll be doing today is a vlog. And what I have to vlog about is a medical case. Because I'm a medical student. How did I get to medical school? I don't know. It's a neurological case, meaning that it has something to do with the brain. And coming from my background from undergraduate, I'm a psychology major, which means I should be familiar with this stuff. I've gone through 4 years of it, and in my first year of medical school, I went through the basics of it again. So why do I not know anything? Okay, maybe I do know something, but let's see. Let's go through this case together. So the thing is, with medical school, it's kind of just like the same thing over and over again. In the first year, you're going to take on like the basics and like the normal stuff in a human body. Then in the second year, you take on everything that goes wrong with the human body. And that's where I am at right now. So really, it's like my second round at everything. But unlike every student out there, as soon as I learn something and I take the test, once I've passed, I forget about it. Why? Because I don't know. But you know what I say to that? I say, I'll just have to study it again from scratch. Well, that's a great idea. Anyway, maybe we should start on this case. Our patient is 47 years old and is male. Alright. He's right-handed. That's a special tool we'll use for later. He's married. He's a foreman in a factory. He complains of left-sided weakness. After a tiring day after eating dinner while talking with his children, he was noticed to have a sudden onset of slurring of speech. That's not a good sign. Facial asymmetry with sagging on the face on the left with drooling of saliva on the left side. Well, that's redundant. You said on the left twice in the same sentence. This case is getting fishier and fishier. He started to feel heavy on the left arm, and then suddenly he felt, when he tried to stand up and walk, his left leg was heavy. You see, I'm starting to notice a trend here. All of the things that are going wrong are on the left side. I wonder why. He had a 2D echo done in 2006, where he was found out to have dilated cardiomyopathy. That's another thing I should know. Not a known hypertensive, not a known diabetic, no history of malignancy, tuberculosis, or other lung diseases. Denies any history of head trauma, no recent infections. There's no left or right disorientation, no agraphia, no acalculia, no agraphistasia, no asterognosis. These are all words I again should know, but do not. And it's a good thing I have Google. He is positive for constructional apraxia, and positive for hemi-neglect. I feel like that's important because everything else is negative, but this is positive. Positive left homonymous hemianopsia. So left homonymous hemianopsia doesn't mean that their entire left eye is gone. It's more of the left side of the left eye and the left side of the right eye don't work. So that's kind of interesting to see. 50% sensory deficit as to light touch and pain on the left upper and left lower extremities, and the muscles are weakened at the left upper and left lower extremities. Ah! Does this make me look cool? Does this make me look like a nerd? Cool nerd. Cool nerd. Cool nerd. Stop. So I just woke up. Ah! Can you hear the chickens? Those are very loud chickens. I was doing the case. So I finished reading the case and I took note of some of the symptoms that helped me figure out where the problem is. Clearly, the brain. I actually have an idea on where the problem could be in the brain. My thoughts are it could be affecting the frontal, the parietal, and occipital lobes of the brain. Why? Well, let me learn you a thing. So the main problem here is the guy can't feel or move on the left side, starting from the face, the arms, and the legs. And when it comes to movement, it's usually the frontal lobe or the motor cortex that works on that. So it has to be somewhere there. Like, it has to be one of the things you have to consider, right? So it was also noted that he was feeling numb in those areas. So that points towards the sensory cortex, which is in the parietal lobe. And of course, that left homonymous hemianopsia points towards the occipital lobe being affected. So you can see that it's a pretty big problem because you have three major lobes being affected. This person is having a hard time moving, feeling, and with sight. I mean, okay, so to be specific about which part of the brain, so apart from it being in the frontal, parietal, and occipital, it's not like the entirety of the brain, mainly probably the right side. So the reason for this is most of the left side of your body is actually being controlled by the right side of your brain. So because the patient also shows signs of constructional apraxia and hemi-neglect, this does point towards the non-dominant parietal lobe being affected. And knowing that this guy is right-handed, that means it must be the left side that's dominant and the right side that's non-dominant. Now, as to what the problem specifically is and not just where, I'm led to believe that this is an infarct. So basically, the blood supply to those parts of the brain were cut off, leading to those parts of the brain dying, at least to the point where there's like a function problem. So the reason why I'm thinking it's an infarct and not like a hemorrhage or an aneurysm or something is because the patient doesn't present with any headache and the symptoms are sudden but they don't get any worse. Normally, if it's like an aneurysm or a hemorrhage, there would be terrible headaches. And apart from that, it's also possible that their symptoms would get worse over time. Now, what's left for me to do is to figure out what caused the infarct. And one of the most common causes of infarct to that area is an emboli. An emboli basically means that when the blood clots somewhere and it dislodges, it could go to the different parts of your body, and one of those parts is the brain. Um, so that's probably it. Now I say that this is probably it because I it did say that the patient was diagnosed with dilated cardiomyopathy. So that just basically means that there's a problem with the muscles of the heart. Because the patient has cardiomyopathy, it is more likely for him to have a blood clot somewhere and that it dislodges. That's a risk factor. So for my diagnosis of this patient, it was probably an infarct in the right middle cerebral artery stem caused by a blood clot that probably came from his dilated cardiomyopathy and somehow found its way to the brain. So that about sums up my first YouTube video. If you somehow found your way here, I'm sorry. And if you decided to finish all the way till the end of the video, why? But thank you. Um I hope you enjoy these random pictures of my faces and its close-ups, but that's about all I can give you for now. Thank you.